you see, and bring that curiosity into play. Start looking for the answer rather than being preoccupied with the problem, you see. Have fun with this. Don't be fooled into thinking that because it's a big zero, it's really significant. So you have a number of areas here in which you're ready for breakthrough. And your ego is scared shitless. Good. Let it be. And you turn your attention toward the godness that is right on the other side of this weak point in the ego structures. And be curious to know what it is and to let it in. That's the answer. I promise you, if you try to handle this all by yourself, it's going to be a mess. Because actually what you're confronted with is the pressuring of your fulfillment, trying to get your attention, and having found a weak place in the ego structures, it's getting it. So it isn't just you needing to be curious about some nebulous infinite good that's awaiting you. You need to be curious about your good that is pressuring to register with you. You see? Okay.
The next question is from Heather. Heather would like to start out by asking for healing for everyone at the gathering as well as on the internet. She also follows with, is it appropriate for her and her husband to retire to France, or should they stay in England, they or she? Thank you for the recent abundance that has manifested in our lives.
Well, what are you going to do? Set the rest of your life in concrete? Retire in France? Retire in France and England and Spain and maybe the US. You get the picture? Don't retire and lock yourself into some concept of fulfillment. Retire and be fluid. Home base certainly can be in France. But it doesn't have to be in France forever. In other words, I'm being very pointed here. Don't put one foot in the grave now by becoming unyieldingly definite about the rest of your life. Stay fluid, flexible, and willing to change as the change fulfills purpose. And don't assume that at this point of your life, it would be best for you not to have a whole lot more change. Die a little bit at a time. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just pinpointing the beliefs. Be fluid and be open to whatever ongoing changes fulfill purpose. And don't begin to consciously or unconsciously stifle change. Well, we've moved all of our life. We deserve to have a time, especially now, in our golden years, to not have to do that anymore. Well, I'd call that making definitions, wouldn't you? Which is what the ego does, not God. You don't know what the heaven is going to come 2 years from now, where you might move, what you might do. And what am I doing here? I am telling you to stay alive to life and have fun with it. Okay. We are going to take a break. Approximately 20 minutes.
Our next question is from Nancy. She asks, Raj, please help me understand and overcome my addictive tendencies. Is this a karmic challenge I brought in with me? Thank you very much for the work you do and with all of us. Thank you for loving us through the dream. Nancy.
Well, I'm not loving you through the dream. I'm loving you out of the dream. No, it's not a karmic thing. It's just a bad habit. And it's something you're going to have to take a serious look at. Not because it's a serious problem, but because a casual attention won't deal with it. You're going to need to take a really honest look at what you're doing and what the results are. And if the results aren't what you want, you're going to have to make a decision. And here's where being serious comes into play. You'll have to be serious about the decision to do something different, to do something that brings you what you want. I'm going to tell you something else you won't like. No one else can do this for you. And until you do it, things won't change. Now, the reason anyone holds on to addictive behavior is because they think if they abandon it, they're going to lose something. And in most cases, it's a fear that you will lose the right to be independent, that you will lose the right to live your life. That you'll lose the right not to have to fit in, as though fitting in were a limitation. Again, though, you have to look at whether you're getting what you want. How much shit are you willing to tolerate? Before you'll say, I've got to do something about this. Because until you say, I've got to do something about this, it won't change. You're behaving in a way that doesn't bring you fulfillment. And until you behave in a way that does, nothing will change. Are you guilty of something? Does this make you bad? No. But it means you're not fulfilled. Now, I know better than to try to get you to change your mind. And so I'm not even going to imply to you that I will or that I could, because I can't, only you can. So here you are, you're not a bad person. You're behaving in a way that isn't getting you what you want, really. And when you decide to do something different, you will. You know what? That's the healing truth. It's healing because I haven't glossed anything over and I haven't fooled you in any way, and I've laid it out on the table as it is. I love you right now, and when you start behaving in a new way that gets you what you want, I'll love you then. So here we are. You're not a bad person or a good person. I love you no matter what. Nobody can change your mind. And I'm not going to try to. So, you have this clear-cut situation where in your lap, and I invite you just to look at it as it is. Seeing it without any fuss around it will be very healing for you. So, here's the problem, here's the solution. It's simple and undramatic. No drama to it, no contentiousness to it. And I know you'll do whatever you do when you do it. You couldn't get much more straight talk from anyone. And on top of that, I've been so clear about it with you that I've presented nothing that will interfere with your healing. I do love you. And I'm glad you asked the question. Okay.
Ron asks, Raj, lately my business has been chaotic. Jobs delayed, clients lost. But at the same time, I feel a need to expand into brokering.
Into what?
Brokering. Please explain the chaos and help me know if I need to expand. Thank you for your guidance, Ron.
You're asking the wrong question. Chaos cannot be explained. Illusions cannot be explained. Trying to understand them is to give your attention to the problem from the level of the problem. Very simply, reconfiguration is occurring. Allow it. Don't jump to conclusions about it. Don't think, like for example, what am I doing to block my good? The movement of fulfillment never stops. It's never thwarted. It's never really interfered with. And it's never stifled, which means that it is uninterruptedly continuous. If changes are occurring, the uninterruptedly continuous movement of your fulfillment is reconfiguring. And in the reconfiguration, it cannot lose its identity. What it is does not go through alteration, even if the form does. So don't jump to negative conclusions or negative definitions of, quote, what it must be, unquote. As far as brokering is concerned, I do encourage you to explore that and move with it. That's the end of the answer.
We have a question from Honolulu. Raj, please discuss theta healing.
Pardon?
Please discuss theta healing, specifically as it relates to my health and my interest in healing others. Thank you.
Again, I want to reiterate that it's not a wise idea to have yourself on your mind as, quote, a healer. As I said earlier, be, and by being, heal the sick. You don't want to be a role. You want to be the presence, the unobstructed presence of the movement of God, because that is what you are. You want to be that without any concepts you have about yourself getting in the way. Very simply, theta healing is the natural result of being in your peace. It's the natural result of going within and becoming still and moving into that place where you are introducing no thoughts, and where, for lack of better words, the thoughts of God can register with you as your thoughts. And in the clarity of the vision provided by the thoughts of God, you are healed. And as you are healed, the whole brotherhood is healed. And as you are healed, those who are in your immediate presence are healed, or are at the least provided with the environment in which they can catch the vision and abandon what they're doing that's getting in the way of their fulfillment. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. When you know the truth, you're no longer confused. When you're no longer confused, you're no longer conflicted. And so the messengers you send out, by virtue of where you give your attention, are unconflicted messengers that go out looking for that to report back to you, which is also not conflicted. And so they come back to you confirming lack of conflict, which looks like world healed. Again, be very careful, all of you, be very careful about the words, quote, being a healer, unquote. Being a healer usually means you being in a particular way relative to someone else. Ah, that's a relationship. The only thing is, you're starting with a picture of yourself being in relationship with somebody else. You, quote, as a healer. Not you, quote, as a mother, unquote, but you, quote, as a healer, unquote, relating to someone else. That's a concept. It has nothing to do with your presence, with your being, with your peace, with your choice to be unconflicted and singular in your mind. When you are unconflicted and singular in your mind, because it is your desire not to experience the kingdom of heaven or reality in a distorted way, then, by virtue of that choice, which isn't done in relationship to anyone else and has nothing to do with a role, your very presence in relationship with others blesses others, but not because it was your goal, not because it was the design you created for doing a good work in the world or whatever. You see? The necessity is to get back to the level of being, because you're waking up, and therefore the benefit you bring to everyone else regarding their awakening is an inside job that has to do with how you're using your mind and what you're willing to give your attention to and what you're not willing to give your attention to. So that you become a transparency, a clear window for the light of love to shine through. A window that isn't cluttered up with concepts and opinions and definitions and roles, you see? Those cloud the window. There is a need for true healers. And there is need for healing. But the transformational healing that's needed will not come through individuals who have themselves on their minds as healers of the world. It will come through those who wish to have nothing else on their mind but the experience of truth that God reveals when the individual's mind is quiet. Where that individual is willing to say, "Thy will be done," to the Father, instead of saying, "My will to be a healer be done. My best concept of what I can be done." You see? Thy will be done. The Father's will is for you to be fully